Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into our time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
The successor to the Frank Sinatra Rocky Fortune series after Sinatra won the Academy Award, Dane Clark in Crime and Peter Chambers. This episode originally broadcast April 27th, 1954.
Crime and Peter Chambers. Created by Henry Kane, transcribed and starring Dane Clark. A private investigator, duly licensed and duly sworn. Peter Chambers.
You're a private eye. That's your business. Anything else? That's for laughs. It's one of those dark brown nights, dirty with rain. You're home and you're doing calisthenics with a scotch bottle. It isn't so much that you enjoy a drink, but after all, you're a private eye. You might get waved out of the league if you didn't keep in practice. You're contemplating a warm shower and an early go to bed when... Hello?
Mr. Chambers. Peter Chambers.
At your service, ma'am, if it's service you want.
Oh, I'm glad. I'm so glad I was able to reach you.
Well, I'm glad you're glad, lady. What is it, please?
My name is Doyle. Mary Doyle. I own a rooming house at 801 West 53rd.
It's quite near.
Perhaps 10 minutes from where you are. Now, look, Mr. Chambers, it's kind of a bodyguard job for tonight.
Tonight? Oh, lady, it's murder tonight. It's pouring rain.
I know it, sir, but it's kind of an emergency, sir.
Oh, it better be.
$100,000 in cash. She's got $100,000 up there. Oh!
Hello? Hello? A fine night to be making a house call, but emergency, the lady said, and it certainly sounded like the emergency had bust wide open. So, you're fighting the rain, making tracks for a rooming house at 801 West 53rd. And then you're there. And you shove at the buzzer. And you get no answer. And you turn the knob. And you're inside. Inside is a spacious downstairs room. A flight of steps going up. There's a phone on a corner table, and its receiver is dangling. And there's a lady seated in front of it. About 40, red-haired, buxom, quite attractive, if you're thinking in large terms. She's wearing silk lounging pajamas with shoes to match, and she's out like the proverbial light. You go to her quickly, and you slap her back to life. All right, there. Come on,
stop.
come on.
Stop.
Easy does it, lady. You coming around now? All right?
Yeah. Oh, somebody slugged me, but good.
Miss Doyle? Or is it Miss Doyle?
Yeah, Miss Doyle. Who are you? What are you doing here? Who are you?
Peter Chambers. You were talking to me on the phone.
Oh, good. Look, I'll be with you in a moment.
Wait a
Please
minute.
don't go
Hey.
away.
Here's a new gimmick. You find an unconscious woman, and when you bring her round, she shoots off like a rocket, come Mardi Gras. Well, screams to a private detective are like spurs to a racehorse. You fly up the stairs, and you find Mary Doyle in a room with an open door. And there's a lady on the floor, quite rigid. And near her, a small instrument of large consequence, a nickel-plated revolver.
Dead. She's dead. They shot her. Oh, there's the gun.
Don't touch that.
But the gun.
Just leave that lie. Now, what's all this about?
Just a minute.
Well, what are you looking for now?
A little black bag.
Little black bag. What's that got to do with this
There
whole...
was $100,000 in it, cash money. and it's gone.
Look, one thing at a time, lady. Who's the corpus delicti?
Olga Dino,
And who that?
an opera singer. From Italy. She was here in this country for a year.
Oh, Olga Dino. Great soprano. What was she doing here?
She didn't like hotels. I run a very correct theatrical boarding house here. The best.
Olga Dino.
We were good friends.
Look, you better go downstairs and call the cops, and you and I, we'll pick it up after that.
All right. All right, sir. Whatever you say.
So now you go for the gun, only you lift it with a pinky through the trigger guard. But all your careful care is wasted because there's an interruption slightly from mayhem, and the mayhem is directed at you. Get it off.
All right, people. You still got the gun. You got me with my hands up in the air. So what's our next move?
What are you doing here? What kind of a boarding house is this anyway?
Well, let me tell you. I'm sure I can come up with a good answer if I think about it.
And now you get another interruption, but this one's of the opposite gender. She stands in the doorway, blue-eyed, red-lipped, blonde, and statuesque. And you'd be wildly interested if it weren't for a slight matter of murder.
You with the gun. What's between you and Mr. Brown?
Who wants to know?
My name is Joan Bradley.
Well, I do a low bow, Miss Bradley, except I've got to keep the gun pointed at our friend here.
At Mr. Brown?
Oh, Mr. Brown to you, maybe. Bill Craig to me, a hood from Louisiana hiding out from a grand jury investigation.
Mr. Brown?
Just a little misunderstanding.
Never mind him. Now, take a look at this, miss.
Olga. Olga Dino.
Very dead and very murdered.
No.
You live here?
Yes, sir.
What do you do?
I'm a lady magician.
Who else lives here?
Mr. Brown, Olga, Ralph Hardwood, me, and Miss Doyle.
That all in the entire house?
It's being renovated.
Well, that's all she could accommodate at this time.
Okay. Now, my name is Peter Chambers, and right now I'm in charge here.
Yes, Mr. Chambers.
Is Ralph Hardwood at home?
Well, yes, he is.
All right, then, my dear lady magician. A favor, please.
Yes?
Make yourself disappear. And tell Mr. Hardwood to stay in his room, and you stay in yours. We'll come to you in due course.
All right, sir, if you say so.
And now you're alone again with a corpse and Mr. Bill Craig sporting around under the name of Brown in a theatrical boarding house in New York. Bill Craig, tall, rugged, shrewd, and rotten as a wormy apple.
Any questions, people?
Oh, a lot of them, pal.
Well, as you know, I'm hiding out from a little heat in New Orleans. So I'm here as Bill Brown, retired actor. That's a crime?
I don't know. Maybe it ain't. But what's with jumping me and tussling for that gun?
Simple. It's my gun.
Hey, that's a pretty frantic admission for a wise guy. That figures to be the heater that deheated Our Lady here.
I got the same figure.
So?
It's my gun, period. Took a look at my suitcase a couple of minutes ago. My gun was lifted. And I'm coming down past this open door, see the dead dame, see you with a gun, and it begins to add. Maybe I lost my head. But I can't use trouble, brother. And how I can't use trouble.
Where were you this evening?
Took in a movie. Lousy one. Cops and robbers.
When'd you get back?
About a half an hour ago. Ask Miss Doyle. I called down for coffee maybe 5 minutes after I got in.
You know anything about a little black bag?
Yeah, sure.
Know what was in it?
100,000 cash bucks.
How do you know?
Everybody in this house knows.
Look, Bill, you didn't kill this dame, did you?
No. But I got a hunch that whoever did used my gun to make it look like I did.
This, Joan Bradley, did she know about that little black bag?
I told you, everybody knows.
What am I wasting my time with you for? I can get the same information and she's prettier.
It's your time, people.
April 27th, 1954, Crime and Peter Chambers on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
Hi, this is Kyle Horvath with the White Pine County Tourism and Recreation Board. If you want to get away from the big cities and get back to nature this summer, give us a call at 775-289-3720 or visit us online at elinevada.net. There's so much to do and see I can't mention it in 30 seconds, but check out our website and you'll see what Nevada is really all about. elinevada.net or follow us on Facebook or Instagram. Give us a call at 775-289-3720 or visit us online at elinevada.net.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for healthcare can save the typical family $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The customer satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. MediShare works. It's been around for more than a quarter century, and members have shared more than $3 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE. 833-34-BIBLE.
Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, more of Crime and Peter Chambers starring Dane Clark from April 27th, 1954.
You get Bill Cragg back to his room, admonish him that a run-out powder would be a clean admission of guilt, and then you mosey along to Miss Joan Brady, who keeps growing on you by leaps and bounds.
Come in, Mr. Chambers. Make yourself at home.
Hey, you're awfully pretty. I wish I had the time.
Oh, so do I.
Really?
Well, you're sort of pretty yourself.
Well, let's make a date then.
For when?
As soon as this thing is over.
You twisted my arm, Mr. Chambers. I sort of like the way you twist arms.
Okay, then. Let's get back to cases. What's with the little black bag?
Oh, well, we were talking about it at dinner today, all of us.
Where?
Here, downstairs. Miss Doyle was serving.
All right. Let's have it, huh?
Well, it begins with Olga Dino. Fine, sweet woman.
About how old?
Oh, about 45. She had $100,000 in a vault, and tomorrow morning at 9, she was taking the ship to return to Italy. They were going to be married on board ship.
They? Who's the they?
Olga and Ralph Hardwood.
Same guy that lives here?
Yeah, they met here. Young English actor.
So?
So, she drew the money out of the vault today. She was taking it with her, and she had it in that little black bag.
Everybody in the house knew about it?
Oh, that was Olga. Sweet and trusting. That was the way she was. Never had a bad word for anybody. Never a bad thought. She felt that the money was just as safe here as in the bank vault, but Mary, Miss Doyle, kept after her all day.
Kept after her how?
Well, Mary Doyle insisted that Olga hire somebody, sort of a custodian, bodyguard, somebody properly trained and equipped to act as custodian until tomorrow morning when they got to the ship. She kept after her all day.
By nighttime, she probably convinced her.
Meaning what?
Meaning me.
I don't understand.
It'll be explained to you. There'll be lots of cops here shortly. Uh-huh.
Pete Chambers, come on down here.
Downstairs, the place is crawling with cops. Detective Lieutenant Louis Parker, friend and gentleman, is in charge. Louis is involved in the interrogation of Miss Mary Doyle and a fine-looking young man who turns out to be Ralph Harwood. You turn the gun over to Louis, and you bring him up to date on your end of the affair, and then he returns to his questioning.
Well, two things we got established definitely. The dame is dead, and that bag of loot ain't in the house. That's definite. Now, you, Hardwood.
Yes, Lieutenant.
That Olga Dino was 15 years older than you. Was it love or was it money?
Love, Lieutenant.
Was the dame 15 years older than you?
Oh, she was younger than any of us, Lieutenant.
All right, with the lieutenant. Let's not make with the metaphors, huh? Were you out of the house tonight?
Yes, Lieutenant. I was visiting my sister. Got back about 3/4 of an hour ago.
After the rain started?
Yes, sir, after the rain started.
Miss Doyle?
Yes, Lieutenant.
What about that Joan Brady? Was she out too?
She was at a rehearsal. She returned about 15 minutes before I called Mr. Chambers.
Everybody was out in the rain tonight, huh?
Except me.
You sure there were no strangers around here?
Very sure. I wasn't out of the house for a minute.
Cassidy, get the rest of them down here. Well, soon the whole quorum will be gathered. Pete, come over here. You and me alone. So, what do you make of it?
I don't make a thing yet, Lieutenant.
Crazy artists carrying their loot in a bag, begging to get knocked off.
It figures that Bill Craig's gun was a weapon.
Oh, I'm sure of that. 3 bullets out of the gun, 3 in the dame, but he's already produced a license for it, so don't give us no office to hold him. Yet.
You think he'd kill for 100 G's? You know, he's pretty much of a big shot.
Never tell with them. Any of them.
Well, how do you make it?
Well, the facts we've got, Mary Doyle is calling you. But somebody doesn't want a bodyguard around. So she gets conked on the cranium, put out of commission. Then that Olga gets knocked off and the bag of loot is stolen. Gets taken out of the house. Our murderer returns before Miss Doyle recovers consciousness, joins the rest of the boys and the girls.
Yep.
Then you show up and the deal busts wide open. There's the rest of them.
Yeah.
Let me go and make a speech.
Speech away, Lieutenant.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going downtown to the lab to see what the science boys may have dug out for me, but my cops stay here. Is that understood?
Yeah,
sure.
Surely.
Yes, Lieutenant.
All right, nobody leaves. It's clear?
What about me, Lieutenant?
Sooner you leave, the less trouble we're likely to get into.
Now, Lieutenant, you're beginning to sound like a lieutenant. No objection to my moseying around, little, is there?
No objection, provided you report your findings to Papa, and I'm Papa.
Yes, sir, Papa.
Well, bye now, everybody. Try to act like good little murderers.
Well, now, the first step in the moseying around department. Anybody hear the shot?
Oh, that would have been quite impossible, Mr. Chambers.
How do you know my name?
Miss Doyle told me.
Now, let Miss Doyle tell the rest. Why would it be impossible to hear a shot, Miss Doyle?
Because I've been soundproofing the house. It's a theatrical boarding house, you see.
Yes. Step number 2. Are all of you dressed as you've been dressed, say, for the last couple of hours?
Well, yes, of course.
Of course we are.
Good. Now, step number 3. Get your shoes off. All of you.
Oh, really?
Now, look here, old man. It's a rather high-handed procedure, don't you think?
Shoes off, all of you. Under the supervision of the good officer here, Mr. Cassidy. Now, come on, off there. And lay them there on the table. Good, that's good, very good.
And what now, sir?
And now you all go upstairs, each of you to your respective room. Come on, off you go, my barefooted brigade. Come on, let's go.
Really, a most high-handed procedure.
And so, under the rather astonished eyes of Parker's policemen, you do the old Sherlock. You examine the shoes. You feel them, you touch them, you bend them, and you put them back. Then you wriggle into your raincoat and you wave goodbye to the taciturn gentlemen of the law. See you around, fellas. And remember the lieutenant's orders. Nobody comes, nobody goes, except me. And now you're walking in the rain, trying to think. An idea is beginning to glimmer in your mind, and you're waiting for it to catch fire. Then a block away, you see a subway station. And a fire in your head has started. You jog down the subway steps. But you're not going anywhere. You've got no train to catch. And downstairs, you see an object of interest. A tall section of public lockers. You go near and insert your dime. But you don't check a thing. Then you prance up the stairs and you make for the nearest tavern and a couple of drinks, but this time they have a purpose to ward off pneumonia because you're wet through and through. And then you're back in the boarding house and you're greeted.
Well, the return of Sherlock Holmes.
Parker's got them all downstairs again, but none of them are wearing their shoes yet. My orders.
Look, my dear friend, I like my murder suspects wearing shoes, if it's all right with you.
It's not all right with me. Not yet, Lieutenant.
Boy, when a private eye goes nuts, it's a matter for the paddy wagon.
Look, I'm just trying to put 2 and 2 together, Lou.
You certainly got a crazy way of adding, boy.
I'm attempting to produce the murder of Olga Dino.
Well, produce away, detective. Pray, don't let me interrupt.
Well, sir, first off, we've got motive.
100,000 motives, all green, and all stuffed into a little black bag.
Right. Also, we've got a small but select group.
Granted. So when do we produce a murder?
Gently, Lieutenant, gently. Come here. Take these shoes.
Jay, I'm a hipster. I dig these shoes. The most.
Notice, they're all damp.
What did you expect them to be? Dry? It's pouring out, remember?
Contain yourself, Lieutenant.
I am contained.
All right, let's get back to the beginning. Mary Doyle called me on the phone. Purpose? To protect Olga Dino's little black bag.
Yeah, and the killer heard her and had to act fast. He slugged her, then knocked off the opera singer, then clipped the bag all before you got here. How long did it take?
About 10 minutes.
Okay, so what's with the damp shoes?
Joan Bradley's figured to be damp.
And mine, didn't they? Didn't mine?
Why don't you
No, he's right, Lieutenant. His figured to be damp, too. And so did Bill Cragg's. They were all out in the rain. But not Mary Doyle.
What?
You weren't out of the house. Were you, Miss Doyle? That's what you told the lieutenant, remember? Not for a minute, not you.
What are you trying to say?
I'm asking you to explain why were your shoes wet?
Now, look, you're not going to push me around with your smart aleck private cop politics. Maybe the shoes are wet. So what? I got a leaky pipe in the kitchen. The floor is damp. Oh, that's a hot one. Explanations for wet shoes.
Look, your shoes are wet from the rain.
That's a lie.
Were you out in the rain, Miss Doyle?
Absolutely not.
Oh, yes, she was.
Can you prove it, Pete?
Certainly I can prove it.
But she's the one that called you. The one who was most worried about that opera singer and her loot.
Strictly a cover-up, Lieutenant. Let me do it right side up for you. First, she knocked off Olga Dino up there with the door closed in the soundproof room. And then she called me.
Lie!
Either you be good, lady, or I'm going to have to put you under restraint. Let me get you straight, Pete. According to you, she sort of conked herself on the head. You found her like that, supposed to be unconscious.
And she made sure to leave the outside door unlocked so I could get in.
Looks like he's got the case figured out. April 27th, 1954, Dane Clark, Crime and Peter Chambers on Classic Radio Theater.
No offense, but are you a little fat when you look in the mirror? How would you like to learn the secrets to lose 3 to 5 pounds a week easily without joining the gym or going through any crazy diets? It's called Body Sculpt by Med Diet. For the last 2 decades, we've been helping people just like you that have pounds they want to shed. We've helped millions of people lose thousands and thousands of pounds over the years. And now it's your turn. Learn the secrets of how to lose weight with one simple phone call. You'll see an amazing difference in a matter of days. Don't believe us? We'll offer you a money-back guarantee. If you're ready to start losing weight right now, call right now to learn more about your risk-free order to Body Sculpt.
Call for your risk-free offer. 800-738-5332. 800-738-5332. 800-738-5332. That's 800-738-5332.
Are you in bad pain? You know what I mean. Your knees hurt. Your shoulder hurts. Your elbow and back are constantly killing you. And I'm sure you've tried every pain pill or cream available at the drugstore. Am I right? Well, here's something you haven't tried. Pain Magic. Pain Magic is not available at any drugstore. The only place you can get it is by calling the special toll-free number I'm about to give you.
And to make things even better, call right now and find out about our buy one, get one free offer. We're so confident it'll work for you that we offer a free bottle with your purchase. No prescription required.
Call now to learn how you can get Pain Magic and get rid of your pain. Remember, your results may vary.
800-492-8164. 800-492-8164. 800-492-8164. That's 800-492-8164.
You're listening to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Dane Clark had a mixed bag in Hollywood. He referred to himself as the Joe Average of the screen. He did lots of roles, no real huge breakout films, but you knew him when you saw him. His biggest break was he was in a lot of war films, action in the North Atlantic with Humphrey Bogart. They considered that his big breakout role, and according to Clark, Bogey gave him his stage name. Third billed in Destination Tokyo. He starred opposite Betty Davis and Glenn Ford in A Stolen Life and got top billing for Her Kind of Man, a crime film. Let's get back to the conclusion of Crime and Peter Chambers, his only starring radio role, as it was originally broadcast on April 27th, 1954.
And you got here during that 10-minute period from the time she called.
That's when she got her shoesies all wet.
You're going to have to prove those statements, Mr. Wise Guy, because I'm going to sue you. I'm going to drag you into court and teach you a lesson. It's about time one of you guys got a lesson.
Shut up, lady. Will you please shut up? Now, wait a minute, Pete, about the shoes. She could have changed them, couldn't she?
No, she couldn't. They're lounging shoes that go with her outfit. If she changed her shoes, she'd have to change the entire getup. She simply didn't have the time. Remember? 10 minutes.
So?
So she wiped the shoes as best she could, which left them damp.
Yeah.
She had to work fast in those 10 minutes. While you were down in the lab with your bright boys, Lieutenant, I was out in the rain figuring angles.
What did you come up with?
A subway station.
What?
There's a subway station a block from here. Downstairs, they've got a flock of those dime parcel check boxes. Now, that figured to be the closest drop. Remember, she was in a hurry, so she checked the little black bag.
That's a lie.
Oh.
Check boxes have little keys. I got no key. Search me. Search the house.
There'd be no key here.
Backing down, huh? Figured I'd break down under your phony third degree.
You want to know why?
Why what?
Why there's no key here?
Yeah. Why? Tell me why.
Because I've got it. See? Right here. In my hand.
What the heck is all this about?
She used the oldest gag in the world. Probably thought it was new because she dreamed it up. They all do.
Who all do?
Amateur criminals. Sure, she didn't keep the check key on her person. Too risky. Instead, she put it in an envelope and she mailed it to herself.
The old mailer-oo.
It's a lie.
Miss Doyle, you made one mistake. Under certain circumstances, mail can be intercepted. And that's exactly what's been done. See this key? That's the final bit of evidence that's going to fasten you to the electric chair. For murder. The rest is easy. A bit of expert prodding from Parker, and she breaks down, and they cart her away. The police open that panel of lockers and find the little black bag. Downtown, she confesses that she mailed the check key to herself, care of an aunt in Brooklyn. And 1 hour later, you and Miss Joan Bradley are at your place, munching corned beef sandwiches and drinking beer. You've kissed her a couple of times, but you've gotten very little response. So you ask why.
Because when my mind is troubled, I can't concentrate on kissing.
But what's troubling you?
That malarkey about intercepting the United States mail.
Malarkey is precisely correct. Mary Doyle was a type who would fight back until you had her convinced. Even if they found the bag in that locker, they still have to tie it up with her. So I had to dream up a ruse to convince her.
But where'd you get the key?
That wasn't the key. It was a key. But of exactly the same type, out of exactly the same group of check boxes. I went there, I paid a dime, I checked nothing, and came away with the convincer.
Very good. Very good indeed.
Thank you.
And for all that work, not even a fee.
Well, everything isn't measured in dollars, my sweet.
You've got all the right answers. Come here.
Your mind still troubled?
No, sir. Not a trouble in the world.
Can you concentrate now?
Try. Find out. Pete, there's one more.
Quiet, please. Man at work.
And there you've had Crime and Peter Chambers. Dane Clark was starred as Peter Chambers. Crime and Peter Chambers Transcribed was created and written by Henry Kane. Bill Zuckert was heard as Lieutenant Parker with Bryna Rayburn and William Griffiths. It was directed by Fred Way. And this is Fred Collins inviting you to tune in next week, same time, same station, for Dane Clark in Crime and Peter Chambers.
April 27th, 1954, Crime and Peter Chambers on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
Are you suffering with arthritis or osteoporosis? Do you have diabetes? Did you know that these are just two of the hundreds of diseases that have seen improvement with Dr. Wallach's incredible longevity products? You can't get them at a health food store. The only way to get them is to call us at 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065. Do you have heart disease, fibromyalgia, or high blood pressure? Do you have a terrible time losing weight? Dr. Wallach can help. He was a veterinarian and cured diseases in animals. He felt that he could do the same for humans, so he became a physician. Over 50 years of research and helping people like you goes into every bottle of Dr. Wallach's amazing discoveries. Do you want to feel better? Learn how to treat the cause of your problem rather than covering up the symptoms with drugs. Call 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065.
Now the final part of the yours truly Johnny Dollar story, The Lonely Hearts Matter. This episode originally broadcast April 27th, 1956.
From Hollywood, it's time now for...
Johnny Dollar.
Max Lancer, Johnny. DA's office. How is she?
Pretty weak. The hospital staff are doing all they can for her, but they don't give her much hope.
Has she been able to talk?
No, not yet. Maybe not ever. It was ground glass, all right. The doctor's sure of it now.
The same as her husband. Why, Johnny? Why her?
I'll guess with you.
Maybe she figured we were closing in on her, that the game was over and took this way out.
We had nothing on her, Max. Suspicion, that's all we were going on. She'd had 2 husbands in the last 3 years. Both of them died from the effects of ground glass poisoning. And both times she goes for $50,000 insurance. That's all we had to go on, and it wasn't enough.
But maybe she didn't realize that.
I can give you a better theory.
Okay, sound off.
Somebody tried to murder her.
Tonight and every weekday night, Bob Bailey in the transcribed adventures of the man with the action-packed expense account, America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. From Special Investigator Johnny Dollar, location Chicago, to the Home Office, Northwestern Surety Company, Hartford, Connecticut. Assignment, The Lonely Hearts Matter. Expense account, final page. Item 15, $2.60. Sandwiches, cigarettes, and incidentals, which I had sent up from a lunchroom across the street from the hospital. It was evening again now. I'd spent the whole day in the lounge down the hall from the room where Mabel Burke Wells was fighting for her life. Fighting and slowly losing. I'd tagged her as a murderess responsible for the deaths of 2 of her husbands. But then she herself had been struck down by the same poison. And now only she had the key to the puzzle. A key she might never give up.
Calling Dr. Kenworthy. Dr. Kenworthy. Wanted in delivery room.
Oh, hiya, Creeley.
Any change yet in my
aunt's condition? No, I just talked to the doctor. If anything, she's even weaker.
She didn't even recognize me. I've been in the room off and on all day. She didn't even know I was there.
Well, she's in pretty bad shape. Sit down. You look a little rocky yourself.
Thanks. I feel that way. Aunt Mabel's been a real mother to me. This is quite a shock.
Yes, I imagine.
Doctor says it's the same thing that killed Jonathan.
Yes, that's right.
Well, that just doesn't make any sense, Mr. Dollar.
Say, tell me something. Did anyone come to the house to see your aunt? Either last night after Lancer left or this morning before I got there?
And as far as I know, why do you think someone might have?
I don't know.
She'd already gone to bed when I came in last night. I left early this morning. It's possible, of course, but I don't believe anyone did. She never had any visitors. She's always been a lonely person, actually.
Maybe that's why she started the Lonely Hearts Club.
Yes, it was. I suggested the idea to her as a way to meet friends and be around people, and she loved it.
Why couldn't she and Jonathan's daughter, Norma Wells, get along?
She's a strange girl. Always had a chip on her shoulder. I spoke to Jonathan about it once, but he just laughed it off. He said Norma just had too much possessiveness.
Yeah, well, I guess it's natural. The two of them had been alone a long time, until he married your aunt.
Mr. Dollar.
Yeah?
The police think that Aunt Mabel killed him, don't they?
They've got some pretty strong reasons for thinking so.
And the way she is now, dying in her, I suppose they think she did it herself?
It's possible she did.
Is that what you think?
Oh, I'm not sure. Oh, come on over, Miss Wells.
I didn't want to interrupt.
Just making conversation. You two know each other, I guess.
Yes.
Well, I think I'll get on and get a cup of coffee. I'll see you later, Doc.
I can't stand that man.
So I gather.
How is she?
Not much change.
Couldn't bear just sitting in that hotel room wondering what was happening. She hasn't been able to talk?
No, not yet.
I don't understand it. My father died less than 2 hours after he was first stricken.
Difference in constitution, maybe. Different dosage.
She's too mean to die. I'm sorry I said that. It was cruel and heartless, but that's the way I feel. I can't help it. When I think of my father, so kind and gentle, murdered in cold blood by that woman.
If she did do it, then why this?
You mean the same thing happening to her?
That's right.
Remorse, maybe, if she's capable of it. Or fear. I don't know why. Maybe she's insane. I've always thought she might be.
Oh, she's sane, all right. As sane as any of us.
Then what do you think happened to her?
Oh, I don't know.
We probably never will know. She'll die without talking, and there'll never be any proof.
That's a possibility.
That worthless nephew of hers will collect the insurance, I suppose.
That's not my department. But under the circumstances, I think he'd have a legal claim.
It's horrible.
Mr. Dollar.
What is it, nurse?
She's conscious, and she wants to see you.
She was a dying woman. I could see it the moment Norma Wells and I walked into the room. I sent the nurse to find her nephew, Burton Creeley, and he slipped in quietly a few seconds later. The old lady lay back on her pillows, smiling to herself as usual, bright-eyed with a last burst of false vitality. Death was only minutes away. All of us knew it, and she knew it too.
My gracious. All of you look so serious. But it was nice of you to come. It keeps a body from feeling lonesome.
You save your strength now, Mrs. Wells.
What on earth for? Body can't enjoy their last few breaths. They might as well not be living.
Please, Aunt Mabel,
Don't you please me, Burton Creeley. Straighten your tie. You look a fright. My, certainly nice to see you here, Norma. I always said to Jonathan, it's just a crying shame that Norma and me can't hit it off better. He just laughed and
Mrs.
said,
Wells.
Oh, be quiet, young man. I know what you're after. All in due time. As a matter of fact, that's why I wanted to see you. I've been in my senses for the last hour, but I just didn't let on. I wanted a chance to think. I'm about to die, you know.
Aunt Mabel, don't talk that way.
Oh, simmer down, Burton. Death is only the doorway to a more glorious life. You remember that. Mr. Dollar, I didn't do it.
I know. I finally came to that conclusion myself, too late.
You mean you're not surprised?
No.
Well, at least it's a help that I don't have to convince you. I'm afraid I won't have that much time.
What are you saying?
You heard me, Norma. I said I didn't kill Jonathan. Why, I was much too fond of him to do a thing like that.
Who did kill him, Mrs. Wells?
That's what I was puzzling over for the last hour. Then, when I figured it out, I had to decide whether to let sleeping dogs lie or see that justice took its course. And
Easy now.
But I remembered how kind Jonathan had been and decided to...
Aunt Mabel, don't try to talk anymore.
Those chocolates, Burton, that you gave me this morning. Oh, That was an awful naughty thing to do, Burton. And now you'll have to be punished for it.
Wait a minute, Mrs. Wells.
And Jonathan. Walter, too. Now, they were always so nice to you. I just can't understand why you did it. Mr. Dollar.
Yes?
You take Burton in hand. Give him a good talking to. Explain to him that...
Mrs. Wells.
That he mustn't go around.
Is she...
Yeah. Well, Creeley...
Get your hands up, Dollar.
Huh?
One move from you and Norma gets a bullet right in the back.
Let go of me!
Into the closet, Dollar.
Don't
Go on.
be a fool, Creeley.
Hurry up, move! Go on! Now remember one thing, Dollar. I'm taking Miss High and Mighty here along. If they get me, then she goes too.
The door was solid, built to last. It took me several minutes to smash it open. The nurse in the corridor said Creeley and Norma Wells had gone down in the elevator. I grabbed the floor phone and called the main desk in the lobby. They said some man and a girl had just stolen an ambulance from the emergency driveway and headed west onto the Lakeshore Parkway. And at that moment, Max Lancer stepped off the elevator.
Johnny, what's going on?
Back to your car, Max. Come on. We could hear the ambulance siren for a while somewhere up ahead of us, then we lost it. Max kept the red light flashing and the accelerator on the floorboard. The speedometer needle edge past 85, touched 90, and hung there. We were 9 miles up the parkway when I saw it. Parked cars, a crowd gathering, and the ambulance rolled over against the bank.
Where are they?
A man and a girl got out of it. They ran into the brush there. He's carrying a gun.
Take the east side, Johnny. I'll go around the other way.
Right, Max.
And watch yourself.
The undergrowth was heavy. A mass of dark shadows slashed here and there by beams of light from the headlamps of the cars on the road above. Max disappeared into the night, and I moved on alone. Minutes passed. Then a car light shifted slightly, and I saw them, only a few yards away, crouched against a tree. He was holding the gun pressed against his side.
Hold it, Dollar.
You're finished, Creeley. You'd better give up.
You know what I told you. If I go, she goes.
Johnny, he's going to kill me.
I was holding my gun at my side, but I didn't dare lift to try to aim it. One false move on my part, and he pulled the trigger, blast the life out of Norma Wells. Then she struggled slightly, tried to pull away from him. I had a 1-second chance, and I took it. Are you all right?
Yes. Yes, I'm all right.
I didn't have time to call the shot. I had to get it off fast. Yeah. Looks like it caught him in the heart. Expense account item 16, $231.25. Hotel and incidentals in Chicago and transportation back to Hartford. Expense account total, $416.40. End of account, end of report. Remarks? A heart with a bullet hole in it. There's a real lonely heart. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Now, here's our star to tell you about next week's intriguing story.
Next week, the Callicles matter, which is just another way of saying the Greeks had a word for it. Join us, won't you? Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, starring Bob Bailey, is transcribed in Hollywood. Written by Les Crutchfield, it is produced and directed by Jack Johnstone. Heard in this week's cast were Lucille Meredith, Mary Jane Croft, Virginia Gregg, Herb Ellis, Howard McNear, and Stacey Harris. Musical supervision by Amerigo Marino. Be sure to join us on Monday night, same time and station, for another exciting story of yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Roy Rowan speaking.
27th, 1956. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Please thank this station and support their advertisers. It's their kindness and courtesy that allows us to be with you each and every time we roll around here on your favorite station. A card or a letter to the station would be greatly appreciated by both them and me. And by the way, if you miss a day, you don't have to miss a single show. You can hear all of our programs at iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, TuneIn, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Amazon, or Facebook. Just search for Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. You can also hear our shows on demand at classicradio.stream, in addition to finding all of our social media links and being able to contact me directly. classicradio.stream. Thank you so much for tuning in. Tell all your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station.